was asking.
Or you can start my slide and then that would be better.
Okay, I think, yeah, I'm doing it, but
no, the previous slide, the presentation I sent you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my presentation. You want me to present from my side?
Yeah, that would be
we
great.
Will give a start and then we'll handle it. Yeah. So you can start after some time, sir. We'll just give the intro and then you can start.
Okay. All right.
Now it is here. Yeah, we can.
Oh, not this one.
Is this the one, Dr. Malik?
No. The previous one, Akram.
Okay. Yeah.
One slide.
UAE webinar, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's here.
Yeah.
This one?
Can you do full screen? Yeah. Akram, you can start now. The itinerary.
I think you should start. Or you want me to?
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Dr. Tausif Malik. I'm the founder of Halal Angels Network. And today we are doing series of webinars to create awareness about startups and halal and ethical industry. Today we're talking about the Gulf region. We have blessed to have 3 speakers. One is Najood Majali. She might join in or not. She just got COVID. So she messaged she might join in or not join in. We have a legendary advertising guru and an entrepreneur, Mr. Art Noor, and then Shadi Hassan. And then my co-host is Akram Haq. He's editor of the Policy Times. He's a founder of World Startup Council and World Education Council. And why we are doing this webinar is because the halal market is $5 trillion economy. And Gulf is one of the biggest importers of a lot of halal foods, fashion, but also Gulf region is also a big exporter. And recently, UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Saudi, they have started opening their markets and inviting startups, entrepreneurs with different visa category investment opportunities to come and set up their offices in the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, the so-called GCC region or Gulf region. Today we'll, Akram, now I give it to Akram to start, and Akram can start the presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malik, for conceptualizing and leading such a wonderful initiative. I want to start the program with a very small creative, and small sad news. Why I want to start with the sad news? Dr. P. Shekhar, who has been one of the foundational pillar of Policy Times Rise, and we together did, I think, hundreds of episodes, shows on startup, on development policies across for many years. Today morning we heard that he passed away in the morning. So I request everyone to pray for his soul to rest in peace, and that we have to go from this life to hereafter, and the life is eternal in the afterlife that we all know and all believe in. So one important part, hadith, that we have been hearing is the hadith. There are 2 things if we follow in our life, our path towards the life hereafter will be on the path. And one is understanding the books of guidance from God, or reading, or taking knowledge from the books of guidance from God. The second is remembering our death. Death is inevitable. Whatever we do in this world, we have to go to our next life. Now, the concept and having barakah in our life and having a life which really shows that path. starts with halal and ethical way of life or living, in whichever way we look, whether it is income, whether it is expenses, whether it is investment, or whether it is saving. Are these four important economic pillars of life guided by halal and ethical principles? And to talk on that, I mean, there cannot be a better panel with us than the real gem of human being, investors, entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs we have with us. I want to welcome and invite Art Noor sir, who is an artist and entrepreneur based in UAE. And he needs no introduction, in fact, and a real celebrity, and has been guiding, mentoring uh, hundreds of startups across India and Middle East. With him, we have Shadi Al Hassan sir, who is the founder of Flagship Projects. So we will seek guidance and knowledge from them, how our earnings, our investment, our savings, and our spending can be guided by the principles of ethics. So before we start, I'll run a small video of what Art Noor sir does and has been doing. His art has been, shown in many of the, especially in the Burj Khalifa. So, we will just see a glimpse of what his artwork has been. Yeah. So just to start off our program, I will request Art Noor sir to kindly guide us and make a presentation on towards achieving a halal way of business and life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for a lovely introduction. And thank you very much, Tausif, for inviting me to this wonderful project that you are doing. This is my first active participation in your program. May Allah give you a lot of barakah and, success to all the participants who come here with the right intentions. And best wishes to all you guys. I mean, you're doing wonderful work, I must say. Okay. I'm seeing some people wanting to enter the waiting room for some reason. Yeah. The message is coming.
We will keep adding them, sir. You can continue your presentation.
Okay.
So people will keep joining.
I don't have to do anything, right?
No, you don't have to, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. What's your first question, my dear?
So first question that we want to understand from you, sir, is kindly guide us the halal way of starting or investing in business or starting business. What is halal? What is ethical? And how do we lead our startups in the halal and ethical way and prosper and also contribute in the society back?
That's a very interesting question, because I think this whole concept of halal and haram has been kind of challenged a lot lately in past century. What was halal, is no longer halal, and whatever was haram was no longer haram. I mean, the lines are getting blurred with a lot of industries in terms of the fact that I remember in my lifetime, excessive photography and photographs and everything was haram, was considered haram, and I was very young. somebody told me that, you shouldn't see the movies and this and that. Music was considered haram. But now a lot of lines have got blurred. So, but I mean, I think those are societal evolution and one can't sort of do much about them. But my personal barometer, which I have come to understand, it is that you have to consult your own soul as to what is relevant and what is not relevant, what is halal and what is not halal. Uh, though there are international barometers, Islamic barometers to sort of say this and that, etc., but there's always a little gray area somewhere. So I would sort of say that first of all, I would like to quote a particular author, Stephen Covey, who wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the first habit which he quoted was of to begin everything with an end in mind. And he starts to tell the story of legacy thinking in terms of the fact that you are standing, you imagine yourself is standing on your grave on the last day when you have died, and what is everybody saying about you? What is that you feel that you have accomplished? So it's basically you think life not from where you are standing and then looking at death, but rather going to the death and looking back at your life. So whatever will make you feel proud of what you have done is probably halal, and whatever will not make you feel proud of what you have done is haram. I mean, that's a very personal interpretation. And but besides that, I would sort of say, getting into specifics, I think halal is what benefits a lot of people, what is good in the eyes of Allah, what was advised to us in our faith. Most of whatever has been advised in our faith is very practical and very doable. Some of the things might be a little difficult, but like say for instance, somebody was telling me about, what about the taking a car on finance? I said, I can't say anything. I've got no idea. I can't tell you about that. But if you need a car and you need it for right purpose and there's only way you can take it on finance, I mean, who am I to sort of say whether it's good or not? So these blurred lines are there, but nevertheless, I mean, I would sort of say that usually good action does have good results, not only in material terms, but also in your the spiritual term. That means you feel good about it. That is my personal definition.
Thank you. Dr. Malik, please unmute yourself.
Sir, I have a question for you. Why don't you just explain about little entrepreneurship journey of yours and then your artistic journey leading on to, your work getting recognized by the UAE government, where, your work is displayed on Burj Khalifa, which is one of the tallest tower. We just saw the video. So people will get inspired how your journey, you're taking it forward.
That's a very interesting question. Thank you very much for asking me that. It's a very thought-provoking question in terms of the fact I don't tend to sort of reflect back so much as to where I started from. I'm more focused on where I'm going. But yeah, I can imagine that I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was 21 years old, and I had done my post-graduation in advertising. And I went to Bombay for internship with an advertising agency there called Frank Simoes. And but I had my mother in Delhi, and I had to come back and couldn't stay in Bombay. So when I came to Delhi, there was nobody who'd probably give me a job, with no experience, and there were very few advertising agencies, and people needed MBAs, and I was only trained in advertising and creativity. So I had no choice but to sort of set up my own shop. It was a little office in a commercial complex, and hardly 3 tables, and we sort of one phone, which was very difficult to come by in those days, the landline. So we sort of started there, and that was the beginning. And after that, it's been almost, I was in advertising for almost about 15 years. I moved from advertising to .com in 1996 and stayed in .com for about 7 years. after the .com became .gone, and I think the whole business was taken over not by the evangelists but by the financials who entered the business in 1999 and 2000. And by 2002, after the .com crashed, the financial industry took over. So the creative guys went out, really. So that's the time when I decided to sort of say goodbye to both these careers of mine, that is advertising and .com, and then decided to devote myself to as a full-time artist. I had no idea what I was going to be doing. It's just that I wanted to do the art, and that's why I did the art. As a matter of fact, Tausif was there in Sharjah when I was involved with art and everything, and people thought I was nuts. Why most of his life he's run companies, and why is he doing art? I said, well, look, it's very simple. The realization is that Allah provides. So I will do what I want to do and Allah will provide. That was my simple equation. That I'll do what I want to do and Allah will provide. So I don't need to worry about whatever the provision is coming from. And true to his promise, he did provide. And I continued on the same journey. I mean, I continued to be the artist. For this, I got a studio in a free zone company. I mean, I set up a free zone company, took a studio there, and then also started to frame professionally. Then taking on large projects and things like that. And I stayed in art for almost about since 2002 to 2019. 2019 is when I decided that 17 years was enough for me to have been doing a lot of work with my hands, etc. And the COVID happened, and I realized that I just most of the time I was sort of sitting and conversing with other people, etc., with no access to the studio, etc. And that's where an NFT journey began, because the need was one to do. I mean, I wanted to go global, both in terms of my subject. My subject, as you know, Islamic 99 names of Allah. That's what I do, and I wanted to take it to a larger audience. And I thought there's no better way for me to do it by NFT, except for. And fortunately, because I was well versed with .com and technology, I sort of fused the .com and advertising and art and all the three. In the end, the result was an NFT project, and which is going to be launched in about 2 weeks' time on 16th of February at Grand Hyatt in Dubai. We have almost about 1,000 participants to it, and inshallah, it will be a project which will impact quite a lot in terms of the NFT development in this particular region.
So
a lot of other things on the way about, I mean, I look at it like that, you really do not, I mean, in India, they say that when the theory of karma says you have a right to do the action. You do not have a right to the reward, because it's not in your hand also. I mean, you just do what you have to do, and if you get some reward, it's great. Thank you very much. Let's carry on. But then I believe that your action must be the reward by itself. If you don't enjoy doing your work, you're wasting your time.
So
that's my
small
simple
question.
Yeah.
Can you explain what is NFT, this technology hybrid which you're working on, using advertising, entrepreneurial journey, and all those things? How can you just explain in summary, and then maybe you can invite the audience and people who will watch the video later. Little explanation here, sir.
Okay. Okay. Let me go back to the digital space. I mean, in terms of what is I mean, I think it's a little complicated. So give me a few moments to put my thoughts together on this. See, non-fungible tokens are basically right of ownership on blockchain, right? It's a smart contract. I mean, I will have to. Explaining blockchain will take a lot of time. I mean, it's not easy subject to sort of wrap your head around immediately. But I can sort of tell you very simply that NFTs, non-fungible token, is a contract on blockchain, which gives you a right to a particular digital asset, right? Now, what happens is why this thing came about. Uh, though this concept of blockchain and digital currency has been around for almost about 10 years, but it really caught on in past 5-6 years, and NFTs really caught on after last year in 2000 last year when Beeple did his art sale. Beeple is an artist for about $69 million. He sold about 5,000 digital artworks. Now, the question became as to why would somebody pay so much money for owning some digital artworks, which you could just download from the net. I mean, you can get thousands of pictures in a day. I mean, why would anybody pay for it? Now, that's the whole concept of NFTs. NFTs basically monetizes the artwork and gives you a right of ownership. It's non-fungible, that is not duplicatable. That means one artwork can be made one token of, and then you can have a ownership of it, and that can reside in your wallet. Could I explain myself? It's a little complicated subject. That's why I'm sort of trying to squeeze it. So I'm sorry if I'm not being able to make if there are certain holes. But if you ask me, I'll keep telling you.
Sure. Sir, would you like to invite, because you said in a message that you would like to invite the attendees. So we are showcasing your invitation for your event, which is happening in next 2 weeks. So, there's the artwork which is shared.
Yeah, I have got thousands of artworks which are ready to be made into NFTs. And so we launched a marketplace of non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible token marketplace quite different from an ordinary website where you can do buying and selling like in Amazon.com or what. Because an NFT website has to be supported by a wallet and has to be very secure in terms of the fact that you do not take delivery of the stuff which comes delivered to your home. Rather, the delivery is made to your wallet. And that wallet, if you lose it, you lose it. So it's a serious matter. You need to go audits and things like that, and there's a whole process of it, etc., etc. But this is a new paradigm of ownership of digital assets. You must have heard of Metaverse, which Mark Zuckerberg has launched about a few months ago, where he talks of a lot of they are selling space in the metaverse, where they're sending land and you can build up stuff, and people are investing $20 million, $30 million to buy up certain plots of land. Those are hypothetical, but these are real projects and there's real money chasing them. Last year, one of the biggest, hottest selling items in the world was NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and there's a lot of money which is being invested in it. A lot of serious advertising companies, a lot of serious digital marketing companies, a lot of serious art galleries are into NFTs. I mean, I'm not one of the earliest. I would say I've come in after making sure that that I'm trading in the ground which is stable enough. Because if you have to convince people to buy into it, it has to be somewhat stable according to my point of view. I mean, if it was too speculative, then in my point of view, it was not halal. So it has crossed that threshold of apprehension, which was there, I think, probably till about last year, January, that maybe let's see what happens. But after it has been accepted as a worldwide phenomena, and then there are people who are investing a lot in it, and it's become real, and protocols have developed, and so many blockchains have come up. I mean, there's not only one blockchain, though the leading blockchain was the Bitcoin, but then after that came Ethereum, then come Cardano, and came Solana, and there's just so many blockchains now. They have different kind of protocols they follow, but and it's established technology now. It's become a huge industry. It has become this industry is probably going to grow at a faster pace than a lot of other industries in the world.
Sir, can you share your email address if somebody wants to contact you on the chat box? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. It's artonoor@gmail.com.
Artnoor@gmail.com?
No, Artonoor, ARTO.
Akram, can you somebody type in the chat box for sir, please?
Or the second one is noor@artnoor.com.
Okay.
That's a simpler one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we'll go to the next speaker and then we'll open to question answer session. Akram,
Okay.
can you,
Right.
introduce Mr. Shadi Hassan?
So let me now invite our next speaker, Shadi Al Hassan sir. Again, Shadi sir, working in the space of entrepreneurship. Shadi sir, your kind remarks and theme address on the program.
Akram, let Mr. Hassan share his slide. That would be easier for him.
Right.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope my screen is, my slide is sharing now on the screen. My name is Shadi Al Hassan. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Flagship Projects. Flagship has evolved. It's based in Dubai and has evolved from an advertising and marketing company in Jordan, where I was born and I carried the nationality of Jordanian citizenship. I moved to Dubai in 2002, where I established Flagship to continue serving the market with communication solutions and branding specifically. Working with the government gave me that edge of localizing international strategies and international communication methods and plans for big brands such as BP Middle East, Hyundai, Philips, and many others, aside to the government entities that I've worked with. In 2006, I was behind the launch of the first branding project for the Emirate of Dubai. It was an international campaign. I got a chance to be exposed to the international market and the international world of branding, specifically for cities and governments. I've continued working on my company, developing it, working with a big diverse array and range of government departments that had made me put more emphasis and resources into the service of the government and even the local market needs. Right now, the company had evolved into becoming a venture builder rather than just an advertising agency, because I've spun off many ventures under Flagship. There's not enough time to explain them all, but I can show them in the next slide. Just in a very short. Okay. So yeah. So Flagship is the umbrella and the mother brand and company for different products. One of them is called Livink. Livink is an incubator for startups, which I have recently launched in Jordan. I've built an incubator and a physical place in the form of a boutique farm in one of the cities of Jordan, which caters for the entrepreneurs and the startup economy in Jordan. I've also worked on a venture with my team to build something called Next Show, which is a virtual events platform. I've developed a startup and based on the lean startup model, I've developed an app called Go Smart, and then an app related to special needs called Bab Noor, which allows autistic children to communicate with their parents and the community and people around them. I've also launched in 2011 a company that is into ebooks. It is called Rufuf. Rufuf means shelves, if you know. Rufuf became an affiliate partner with the second largest audiobook company in the world called Storytel, where we handled their expansion in the Arab world and their catalog of Arabic content and cultural content. My take on the halal industry and the halal economy, being a Muslim living in a Muslim country, we did not have to really worry about, attracting halal ventures and businesses, because the majority of exercises and ventures are based on halal. Like if you say I'm halal, then you raise suspect that you might have some suspicious things in what you do. So you better be like doing the normal thing, which is establishing and living a halal economy or halal business without even emphasizing or highlighting things related to halal. In fact, of course, the financial market, or anything related to banking and so forth has that gray area and doubt whether I open my account in a Islamic bank or non-Islamic bank. But again, like as Noor said, you should judge and consider your halal path your way, from your belief, from what you've studied, from what you've searched and experienced in life. My journey has been very exciting when it comes to this specific areas, because when I first started back home in Jordan, I was at the beginning trying hard to dump the projects that has anything not halal or haram. Maybe I remember when a company approached me, because I was doing some airbrush design back in the 90s. I was doing some art pieces by my hand using the technique that is called airbrush, and somebody approached me to make a signage and billboard for a glass or a bottle of wine and some alcoholic drinks. I didn't know at the beginning, so I priced it and I thought that I'm gonna make some money out of this big project. But then he revealed the brand and I knew that it was something, of course, haram. So I dumped it. That was my first interaction, or maybe experience with, seeking the path of halal. After that, I started realizing and noticing that things are moving towards the replacement of the things that you dump for haram, and you actually get the rizq that is fulfilling that gap. If you dump something for $10,000, in a way or another, you're gonna get probably 10,000 or maybe 100,000 in return, because you've gave up something for Allah, as the hadith says. So I continued on that cycle with a strong faith that Allah will actually treat you the way you act and you seek halal. So it was, I would call it a lifestyle type of thing that even had gained me, some credibility in the market, even with non-Muslims. Like if you're a person that believes in your faith and you have certain beliefs that's allowing you to say no for certain things and not just chasing money and chasing business, then that's a trustworthy supplier or partner and so forth. But living in Dubai actually had opened my eye, and of course establishing some ventures and businesses in Dubai to become or to do beyond the venture or the company that I've established in communication and branding. After the first crisis in 2009, we have started developing mobile apps to become one of the leading app developers in, I would say, the UAE, developing over 250 apps in less than 5 years. We've also gained the experience of tech startups and building tech companies. Combining art and design and advertising and branding with technology allowed us to create more ventures and startups that are in the tech or in the maybe app industry with the artistic, I would call it the user experience input, which had again gained us good traction and good positioning in the market, being nice to buy and have solutions such as the autism app that is now one of a kind. We actually have less competition when it comes to that area. Again, the market of UAE and Dubai, though it is high in competition and there's lots of, so many companies coming from around the world to share the pie, but at least the environment is healthy, I would say. I mean, like it is easy to establish a company. Everything comes for a price, of course, but no one stops you from making money. I mean, you can just simply work hard and just build your portfolio base of clients, and you gain what you earn. But I mean, the strategy of the UAE to build a big economy of startups, as you see on the screen, they have they aim to have 20 startups of $1 billion by 2031. They must offer an ecosystem that allows companies to grow and nourish and maybe expand to other countries or to the world, including so many, benefits and privileges, like the visa system, like the incubators that they, the programs that they allow for free and give for free. I was mentoring in one of the programs that is worth 7,000 dirhams for that workshop and that course, and they were giving it for free just to encourage people to step into the entrepreneurial world. It's basically an open market economy. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the new system for the visa. You can now register for a 10 years golden visa. And this, of course, helps people or attracts people to come and join that trend. As you know, also, maybe the 90% expats living in Dubai, also making it an international city, allows people also to live freely. I mean, with different or multinational society, they offer their services and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's up to us to seek whether we want to be an entrepreneur or to start up something, or just decide to stay in the comfort zone and just simply rely on the source of, let's say, the salary or the compensation we get for our work. The opportunities are varied and big. The best thing about the market is that it brings you the world. You know, like with all of the exhibitions, the workshops, the things that attract speakers and conferences. You don't have to travel or go out of your place. You only have to attend those events to be part of an international thing. That's an advantage as well, being an international city. So far, when we shifted to become a venture builder, right now we are just taking care of the ventures that we have built, and we're becoming an incubator for more and more companies seeking to benefit from our services, the shared services that we offer for our existing ventures, so that can be offered as well to the new startups and ventures, cutting costs, again, working with the Halal framework without having to say it. Again, like, I'm not saying I'm a Sharia compliant, I'm the company that does Halal work and so forth, because it is so easy to dump something when they tell you it is related to something haram or maybe some bribes or interest or whatsoever. That's my background.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing your perspective. And in fact, if you could explain a little more on. So we'll go to question and answer session immediately after this, because we'll try to finish on time. Maybe in next 15 minutes, we'll do the question and answer. So you can stop the slide, sir. And, I can invite everyone to kindly have a small interaction. So first question, what is the entrepreneurship or business or startup opportunities in Dubai? If you can like say that in a couple of bullet points, and Ard Noor sir is also there. How can Indian entrepreneurs or Indian startups explore the rise of Dubai and Middle East?
Yeah, well, anybody can just enter the browser of an internet.
Please unmute. Yeah, you wanted to say something.
Sorry?
I said that question was for Indian, so it was for Mr. Sir Ard Noor,
Indian
sir.
entrepreneurs, yeah. Ard Noor sir, maybe would you like to touch upon that?
Well, I have had the experience of being an entrepreneur in both the countries. And I think I was more successful in India than I was in Dubai. That's a fact. Maybe it has to do with my age and intensity, but maybe I would sort of say my ambitions were different in when I was 20 years old and when later in life when I came to Dubai. But at the same time, they are a different kind of ecosystems. Dubai is not primarily very entrepreneurial friendly climate in the sense that, you know, licenses and visas and getting staff and everything that's not easy, comparatively much easier in other countries. But for small businesses and professional services and things like that, Dubai is a very good place. Dubai has a better quality of life, ease of setting up companies, as my brother said, and you know, all that kind of other facilities are there. I mean, it's a smoother society, it's smoother system. There's no failures of any kind. So, but but you cannot set up any industry, for instance, you know, because it would require a lot of staff and labor and things like that. Like if you have a business idea which requires 1,000 people, you better set it up in India than setting it up in Dubai, because Dubai getting 1,000 people will be a huge challenge. You'll be dealing with a lot of issues, etc. So I mean, it depends upon the kind of scale you have. If you're only talking of a third world country operations or trading operation or services operation or you know, something which can work with 20, 30 people, Dubai can be a very good place. But if you're talking of any industrial product or it requires a lot of staff and a lot of logic, and India is a big market, very big market. Dubai, all said and done, is a very small market compared to India. Yeah. So that's my understanding of both the markets. I mean, I have had some experience in the US also, but that market also is very complicated in terms that it's not very good for very small entrepreneurs. There, I think a person doing a job is much better off in the West than setting up companies. Because there, if you the moment you become bigger than a particular size, you get acquired or you sell out.
Okay. Any other question from audience would like to ask? You can ask in the chat.
Mr. Shadi. Shadi, can you explain your incubator system? How people can, you know, approach you? What is the process of you accepting those people into your, you know, whether it's Jordan or in UAE? How people can apply as a startup, and you know, what kind of startups are you looking for?
No, actually, the incubator that I built in Jordan is established and ready to serve the community. It consists of 3 pillars. I call them AIM. AIM, A for academy, where we teach people what they don't teach at school. Everything comes under the soft skills, hard skills, negotiation, presentation, things that are related to the workforce directly. And the hard skill, of course, including any kind of craftsmanship, anything. It doesn't have to be a tech company, though we also cater and serve tech companies. But I mean, if you want to be a farmer, if you want to be a small shop or you know, a bakery, whatever, we can support you to do that. We are not focusing on those who seek to become a unicorn or to become a multi-million-dollar company. The natural route of startup cycle. We are after what's so called the bootstrap model. anybody who's interested to sustain in life, to make a living, to establish something that can support him or her and their families. From there, they can take it to maybe the multi-billion-dollar company. Because in our societies and communities and countries, we don't have that financial security or the foundation and the ecosystem that is right, as Noor said, for the startup as in the West. I mean, they have all the right to claim that we want to build a giant company because they have the market and they have the ecosystem. In our place, it's prior for you to save yourself first before you solve the problems of others through your startup. So we teach the fundamentals of surviving, basically, of establishing a business that will sustain, that will serve you and your family first place. The I in AIM is the incubator, which is the place. Now, this place is existing in Jordan, and we are now receiving some application. We have almost four startups that had started after we launched last summer. Again, we help them to come to the place, co-work together, support each other as part of the community. We offer them the services that we have. We offer them access to the UAE market, since they are talents and they are, from the same background and culture. It's just that they don't have that access to different markets. So that's the incubator role. The M in AIM is about the marketplace. We don't just leave them there, because most of the incubators that around the world that are seeking actually the multi-billion-dollar companies, they just leave you at the stage of getting funded or maybe seeking the rounds of funds one after the other. But no, we build a community that people can stay with you, market their product on your marketplace, be it physical or virtual through our e-commerce platform. And we stay with them, mentoring them, supporting them, giving them advice as they go. Because when you establish a small business or any type of size of business, you still need the advice as you go from an expert, from a mentor, from somebody who's helping you. We're just starting to clone this model, though it is too early to build a new one in the UAE market. But we're collaborating with existing foundation that has some components of what I was mentioning, so that we can leverage on their existence in the UAE and complement it with the model that I just mentioned. So this ecosystem is probably, I would say, unique in the market, and it is so less attractive in terms of return on investment than funding or supporting the big companies that will exit soon, and it will make millions for the investors. I mean, I'm just looking for a sustainable model that will serve itself, an economy of collaborative work between those, I would say, members of my tribe. And I always keep on saying, I don't want to become multi-billionaire in life. I just want to live a sustainable living, and I'm calling it back to basics. People, when they grow up, they just need to settle down, to go back to the basics of life, to live a humble and relaxed, content living. And that's what I'm offering to people around me.
Shadi, can you share your contact details so people can approach you if they have an idea?
Sure.
Because this video will share it to a lot of people. So, after this recording.
Right.
As I know both of you have a background from advertising, myself background from advertising. So my first question to Atnur sir, how is your experience, how did advertising help you, do everything? Because, advertising training helps you in a different space. So first to Atnur sir and then to Shadi, because, you guys are from advertising and, something we have to talk. In fact, this is the only session where most of them are from advertising.
I used to say, fortunately, it's legal. It's legal to be in advertising. It's not a crime to be in advertising. But at one point in time, I think before Ogilvy made it more respectable and sort of, the reason why approach and so on and so forth. Advertising was not considered to be a very healthy profession in the early part of the last century. It's only in 1960s, 70s, 80s, when the creative revolution came, it became a science and became academically driven profession. That's when I got into it. And I was very fortunate to have experienced some of the very good times in advertising in in the world at that point in time. I mean, advertising was, I would sort of say, the nest for incubating some of the best creative minds in the world today. And because of the fact that advertising has one very unique discipline, which is its ability to see things from a, I would sort of say, like a drone view, helicopter view. You know, you see the market, you see the audience, you see the communication, you see the things in a very holistic manner, which is a great perspective that you develop being in advertising. Sort of, you see the consumer as a consumer, you see his needs, you see the producer as producer, you see him producing products. So I mean, you see that you get used to making your charts of the markets and how they flow, etc., which helps you in a lot of ways.
Shadi, can you talk on this?
I cannot agree more. Actually, advertising had, and me personally, from a creative background, I dropped out an art school in the States when I went there to study technology. Then I changed to art, and then I found myself more passionate about art and design and things like that. And when I went to Jordan, I started my career as a graphic designer, selling freelance jobs here and there. I mean, yeah, advertising allows you to understand communication. And when you are good in communication, as Covey said as well in his book, you are able to communicate, to understand and be understood. When you are able to understand and grasp the information right, and then deliver it in a sort of message and communication strategy to your audience or to the clients and prospects of your client, then you excel. Then you'll do something of a skill. You know, like the communication skill is a major skill in our life that we are also teaching in our academy from the perspective of the practical practice. You know, so yeah. Me choosing working with the government sector has also another aspect of seeking halal, because fortunately government can never sell alcohol. They can never, I mean, offer things for interest and then, you know, suspicious transactions and things like that. And you are not forced to use nude models on the, or maybe some nudity in their communication and the prints. I remember working with L'Oreal once when they wanted to advertise some tan lotion for you know, for the summer, and they were sending us some visuals of models wearing swimsuits and so forth, and it was a challenge. Actually, we didn't know what to do. It's our client. They've been printing with us, doing some work with us. How can we say no? So the tactic that we used to use sometimes, instead of just saying no, we are Muslim, we are halal, we don't do that, is to raise the price. So imagine, like, we've raised the price to almost a double, and still the client wanted to do the brochure until there was a lady working with us. Her name is Farhana. Told me about a new rule at the Media City that is being strict at nudity in the publication, and they mean nudity, not just, you know, like I mean, girls in bikini. So I told her, okay, tell the client that we are banned to use these kind of things. And it happened that the client believed this story, and they decided to go with just the product without models. And we made 200% of the profit because the price was still accepted. I mean, so many funny things that you can still do to work around to stay in the halal thing without, again, enforcing it. You know, again, Allah will give you all the tawfiq so that you can live a halal life. But in general, I mean, it's what you desire to achieve. If you are seeking to become a millionaire, or maybe to do whatever it takes to make that money, probably there are ways and paths to do that. If you're seeking, like in my case, I just want to live happily ever after, as what Disney says, and you can still achieve that. And I would probably live a better life than the one who's running and chasing big enterprises, big companies that are in billions. So there are different understandings for everybody, but I feel that I'm blessed. I work in the right, industry, living in the right market, comfortable with what I'm doing.
Okay. I think, Akram, are you there or have you gone for prayers?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll just...
let's do the question answers and, conclude then. What are the questions?
Okay. Yeah, so a couple of questions are coming. May I ask Mr. Abdul Majid Ansari to ask the question on voice?
Yes. Please don't extend the statement to only questions. Huh?
Just short question.
Yes, actually, I'm from Mumbai, and I'm working as a IT engineer since 15 years and have a startup over here in Mumbai. Other than this, we already established one incubation.
No, ask your question.
Yes.
Brother, ask question.
I'm just
because we have to conclude.
Yeah, I'm just coming through that part only. That we have one incubation center. We have established one incubation center. Now we have so many ideas, and what we want, that is, we have to make this idea should be implemented. And other than this, how we can get these kind of fundings, means from other investors. For example, we have good ideas, but we need to have investors. We already have investors also here, but we need to have big investors like we, as here.
Okay. We understood your question, brother, because time is short.
Yes.
Mr. Noor, can you just give a small summary and then Shadi?
See, one of the very important things I think for any entrepreneur to transform their ideas into reality, which Shadi would know better because he deals with so many incubators, is to research the idea very well and take time to develop it. Because you can get up in the morning and say, listen, I want to kind of create a new brand of paints. And I want to call that Paint It or whatever. Fine, it's an idea, but then that's just a little germ of an idea. You have to first of all grow it to a certain particular level that you have to understand, research the industry. You have to sort of, know there is a niche available for you. What is the level which you're going to do. So, in the sense, it's just not an idea. Incubation really means that first of all, it should become a sapling which you can plant. Then only you require money. Yeah. You don't require money the moment you think of an idea.
Yes, sure. We have...
Mr. Shadi, can you...
example, we have created one...
no, brother, just listen to the comments. Let's not have a discussion. Your question is...
Actually, my take on that is that also me working with some startups in the mentorship exercise, there is one secret recipe and one trick that when you do, you are even looked after and you are chased to be funded, which is the opposite of you begging for some money to start up your business and your company. But you need to do, a serious homework before being investable. That exercise is that you first build as what's called the MVP, the minimum viable product, as I'm sure you've heard of the term. You have to reach a level that you acquire some customers, even for free. I don't know, be it subscription or you sell something for free. You want to get it in the hands of the prospect, of the target audience. You put it in the hand of 50 people, for example, 100 people, whatever, it depends. But you reach a level that you come up with what's so-called the customer acquisition cost. You figure out the number that will cost you to acquire one single customer, regardless of the profitability. You just make sure that that acquisition is happening for real and there is a retention for that service or product. When you achieve that, you just simply go to any investor or VC or whatever, show them a simple slide that shows the cost of the acquisition for each customer, and you need the money to grow such number of customer base. Then they will give you the money. Nobody says no, because that's what makes them interested, and that's what have their appetite to put money with you, because this is what makes them exit and make money of your startup.
Akram, next question.
Yeah. So one brother has a question that he is working on a concept of halal housing, and he was trying to get some support from the Middle East. So is there any scope of promoting halal housing projects through UAE or Middle East?
Akram, let me answer this. The problem is a lot of people have ideas in the halal space. And as Mr. Atnu talked about and as Shadi talked about, the problem is too many people are just putting halal everywhere. What is what? I deal with a lot of people. And when you're looking of Middle East funding and everywhere funding, the problem is the minute you just brand it too much halal, nobody looks at it. And so they need to go into and saying this is a sustainable housing, where it will look about environment, it will talk about taking care, pricing should be good. But the minute you say halal, you have not done justice to your project. And then the minute you say halal, you have to go and take a certification that everything is halal. And certification companies take a lot of time because they have to do due diligence. And then by the time that project comes, the project is not even worth investing. So you talk about sustainable housing. And that's what is happening in America. Too much money is coming into sustainable housing. Next question, Akram, if you have.
Any other question? Any brother like to ask questions? I think, yeah. So if... Akram, can I? Yeah, Professor, please go on.
Shadi did a fantastic overview of what he's doing, but I want to just conclude before I forget. I wanted to ask Brother Atnur of his experience in India and in Dubai. Now, my question is, if a startup wants to find a launching pad to go global, do you think it would be better for him to do that in India or do it in Dubai? Because I thought everybody is in Dubai, so if you are recognized in Dubai, then it would be easy for you to go globally. What's your take on that, Mr. Noor? Based on your experience.
It's an interesting question. I mean, I think it's very subjective about the project, and it depends on the person and where they're coming from and what they're doing. I mean, there can be no hard and simple answer to this. But as a matter of principle, I can tell you that if your project requires a lot of customers, a large market, a lot of capital, India is the place to be. Because India is
there are 1.8, bro, there are 1.8 billion Muslims globally. See?
Professor, that's a fragmented market.
Oh,
what
okay.
We're talking about India as a market as a whole is 1 plus 1.3 billion.
Yeah, but today we're talking about the halal market.
The question was India, UAE. So I'm just we're talking very that way.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to add a point, like a lot of startups talk about funding and stuff, but I know Mr. Atnur personally, I know Mr. Shadi personally, they were never raised a capital from anyone. They were bootstrapped from day one.
Yes.
And they built a brand. And they worked so hard that the business scaled up. Unfortunately, a lot of people want to cook food on other people's fire. And the fire can be taken away. And my personal experience, even in India and globally, is people are only in the startup industry chasing money for venture capital. They're not chasing customers. Yeah. If you chase customers, you don't need money. In fact, VCs will come to you. But unfortunately, everyone wants to, like in India, they will start smoking bidi, the cheap cigarette. But the minute they get funding, they will start smoking Cuban cigars, 600 rupees,
Absolutely.
It's a huge problem.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more.
Right? Yeah,
I can comment on the question actually with two simple words, and I've tested it in my company in some ventures, and it works like magic. Think of it this way. I mean, like, don't think it's either or. I mean, like India or Dubai, Gulf versus subcontinent, whatever. Think of it that wherever, as Noor said, wherever there is a better environment for the thing, be there. So the kitchen is in India, the showcase is in Dubai. Because if you have your kitchen and showcase in the same place, you might pay an expensive amount for the infrastructure for something that you don't need. Why do you need your team to be in an expensive environment? And we've done that in many cases where we take outsourcing, for example. There are so many companies and freelancers that we rely on and depend on, and they do great job that they exist and live in India in terms of marketing, in terms of software development and things like that. And we are even able to compete in our showcase or the local market of Dubai because we are supported by an army of skilled people that can deliver the job in a cheaper manner. They don't get paid cheaper, actually. It's just that the rate is cheaper because the entire environment is less.
As one point professor said, 1.8 billion Muslims. One of my friend, Mr. Ramlan Usman, he's a Malaysian. He used to be a vice president for Halal Development Corporation. Now he's quit the job. He's gone to Vietnam, and he's working with the Vietnamese government. Now the pitch of Vietnamese government is there's only 3% Muslim, but they want to target 1 billion Muslims only in Asia. So they have defined a market, not America, not Europe, not Africa. Right. So because Middle East imports a lot of food and stuff. And when I launched Halal Angels Network, I have proposed to the government through our communication that 1/5 of India's population is Muslim in India, and India is surrounded by a lot of Muslim countries. So India can be hub to export a lot of stuff from India. So this market is very interesting, and for that, my point is we have partnered with Shadi Al Hassan. We are going to do Halal Ethical Investment Summit. Now webinars are great, but when we meet in person, business happens. So post-COVID, we're going to do events in Jordan with Shadi and UAE with our other partners. In Jordan, what our pitch is, there are a lot of non-resident Jordanians who live across the world, and Jordanians are very successful people. Okay, so what we are doing is never ever those expatriate Jordanians have invested in the country. So we're trying to do an event to do that. And when you're coming to Dubai, Dubai can be hub, as Mr. Atnoor said and Shadi said, it's a global showcase where we can showcase. One thing I want to add is all these Indian startups, the minute they become big, they register in Singapore for next round of funding. But now most of them are going to Dubai because Dubai is nearby. Dubai is giving more funding. So it's competing with Singapore. So any final questions? So we'll go with comments with Mr. Atnoor and then Shadi and conclude the event. Any questions final? I see one comment, Mr. Azim, we can discuss, you can call me, you have my number. We can discuss this mentorship thing about halal housing and we'll connect you with people, inshallah. Mr. Atnoor, last final comment about, entrepreneur, halal ethics and about this experience of, interacting with people now on webinar.
I think it's been wonderful coming to your show. It's a wonderful experience for me and meeting all these. I mean, I just got the opportunity to listen to Shadi and Akram. And you, I know already. I didn't get the opportunity to listen to many other people. But I guess time was short. And I think it's a wonderful space of entrepreneurship that you have created. A halal space in terms of the fact that entrepreneurship is being highly advised by a professor. That's a natural way for us to be. Because one of the best ways I know of doing business is to use it as a reason to network and meet people. I mean, in my personal example, most of my friends I have met due to work. So it became, or sometimes it became work became just a reason for you to connect with people. So you're going out and actually reaching out and trying to do things. In the process, you might meet 50 great people and maybe 5 bad people. That also teach you some lessons. So entrepreneurship puts that drive in you to go out and seek out. So that's the most important part of entrepreneurship, is to go outside your comfort zone. If you are not willing to go outside your comfort zone, you must never try to be an entrepreneur. I mean, that's my personal experience.
Mr. Hassan?
I believe that the pandemic had kicked everybody out of the comfort zone and put everybody at the risk of the uncertainty thing that they keep on talking about. And the new norm now around the world is because it showed that not many of those who claim to be experts are actually experts. So the best thing is to be self-dependent and to figure it out yourself. And the best way to do that is, first of all, to have the right faith and to do your homework in seeking the right way of being transparent and ethical and straightforward so that people can trust you. And second, to learn the management skills. And I'm not just talking about management for the business, management for my entire life. You know, if you manage your affairs and relationships with others, if you manage opportunities, if you manage your if you manage your fear actually from attempting to get into the world of entrepreneurship, if you try to put things in place and compound whatever you have from skills to assets, if you may have some assets, or put them together and manage them all to a level that you can package it in a product or service and present it to the world, people will definitely be interested. But without consistent self-discipline, nobody can do anything. I like a very good, quote I read once by somebody called Jim Rohn. He said, everything in life is simple. We are created simple and life is simple. It's just not easy. I mean, like, you just have to put the effort. I mean, if you seek simple, you will find everything simple, but you need to be self-disciplined and decide that you will take that route and path. Of course, you know, the internet and the having the world on your mobile and your computer had helped us to become the CEOs of ourselves and the professors of our own, knowledge and self-education. So why not taking that opportunity and just do it? It's simple.
There is 2 requests for Professor and Artnoor, sir. Kindly share your email if you can, because a lot of people want to interact with you. So if you can just type your email in the chat box, that would be great. My concluding remark is, I would like to thank Mr. Artnoor and Shadil Hassan. My journey with Mr. Artnoor has been for years. He's been there's something called in Indian mythology, Drona, there was a teacher, Dronacharya and Eklavya. And Dronacharya was a great teacher, but Eklavya was an observant student. He was not part of the academy. So I became the observant student of Mr. Aslam Shams and Artnoor. I saw his article in one of the very famous newspaper, and one of my friends said, look at him. What you're doing, also doing advertising in technology, and he's already a techno evangelist. I took it so hard that I managed to reach him in Delhi. I don't know how I convinced him. When I moved to Dubai, I made sure that I want to be with him. And he taught me 2 very interesting things. That's a very personal teaching he taught me. So whenever you find somebody who can teach you, go and learn from them, because they're going to impact you with small words. But those small words, as Sadi said, simple things make you better. And he taught me very 2 personal, simple things, which is very private, so I can't share it. There's other thing. I met Shadil Hassan. I worked for him, and I found him very inspiring person, because he said, he got into advertising with the minute he got from his engineering class, and he saw that art school were painting women models. So he decided to get into that. But then life changed, and he's a different man altogether. And it's very interesting. Akram, I think he's gone for press. I met Akram 4 years ago. Very interesting guy, and his story is inspiring, from a farmer's son to running one of the biggest news portals on Policy Times. My thing about entrepreneurship in Islam is, there was one Ashabi, Hazrat Abdul Rahman bin Auf Raziyallahu Ta'ala. And he was a hustler. In America, hustler means somebody doing something from ground zero. And in Makkah, when he was there, he was a rich guy, but he made a lot of money as a kid. And Rasulullah liked him, and in his lifetime, he was told he is given Jannah. And he was the first people to migrate to East Africa. But when everyone moved to Medina, he moved to Medina, and his Ansar partner said, I will share everything with you. But he said, no, show me kunya. He says, show me the marketplace, right? And when you look at Atnur sir's life and Shadi's life and my life, we always want to go to the market. We don't want anyone else, because if you're in the market, as Atnur sir said, drone thing, you see the whole market, you get the map out. And years later, Rasulullah Sallallahu and Bibi Aisha were in their house, and they heard a lot of noise outside their house. It was after Isha. So Rasulullah looked at Bibi Aisha and she went out and she saw a caravan of Hazrat Abdul Rahman of Razinatal headed for Syria. Some riwayat says 720 camels, some say 7,200, and some say 72,000. Okay. Now let's take the least one, 720. And he looked at Hazrat Aisha and he says, yes, it's my caravan. She goes inside and she briefs Rasulullah Sallallahu that, it's the caravan of Hazrat Abdul Rahman bin Auf. And he smiles. She comes out with a reflector smile on her face, and Hazrat Abdul Rahman Auf sees it. And he looks at her and says, did he smile? She says, yes. The minute he hears that, he distributes all the wealth, not donates, to entire Medina. Now, if he was not an entrepreneur, he could not do that. Right? Because an entrepreneur creates wealth. Also, entrepreneurs create jobs. Entrepreneur creates, taxes for the government. And the other thing what Rasulullah said, if you're an honest entrepreneur, right, tajir, you don't need a halal certification, but honest to yourself, as Shadi and Atnur sir talked about. If you're honest to self, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will be raised with the profits. So that's the best thing of being an entrepreneur. And what we are trying to do with this webinar in Halal Angels Network, I got involved into the halal economy when I moved to America, and I saw this market as interesting market. And then I did my doctorate degree in this market. And then when I started looking, 60% of the Muslims don't stay in a Muslim country. So there's funding challenges. And majority of them don't want to take a bank loan. Even now, when you have startups, they're scared to take people's money. And what we're trying to do is, we're trying to connect the startups with investors on the Halal Angels Network. Because if you are venture capital, difficult to deal globally, and Angels Network do that. And this idea I launched under the feet of my mother, and it has become a global phenomenon. So it has the best launch. As an advertising professional, I've done a lot of launches, but this was the best launch. I took my mobile, put it under my mother's feet and launched it. So on this good note, I would like to make dua for everyone. My mother's not keeping good health, so we can make a dua for her. And thank you so much. And in my old friends, mentors, brothers. So thank you so much. Jazakallah khair.